Hello, everyone with us and on Zoom. Welcome to the Duxbury Free Library's fourth of the Candidate and Budget Forums. I'm Lester Lloyd, Chair of the Library Trustees. I'm assisting Martha Dennison, our Vice Chair, who organized this event, and she's right off screen. Concerning our other forums, the library's candidate forum for the Select Board and School Committee elections and the override forum are already viewable on our website. And in terms of coming voting dates, early voting on the ballot question for the candidates and the override is already in progress at Town Hall. And in-person voting for the override and the candidates is on Saturday, March 28th at the Steele Athletic Center. I am pleased to welcome Cindy Ladd-Fiorini, our selectman, who will be moderator for this event. And our two candidates for library trustees are our incumbents, Casey Seaman and Lucy Weilbrenner, running for new terms, both unopposed. Now, Cindy, I'm turning this over to you to start with our questions.
Thanks, Leslie. All right, so I think we'll start, softly and just you can either just choose to answer. Whoever wants to answer first is fine with me. So just want to know a little bit about who you are and maybe some of your background and skills. Also, why you're running again. You've both been on, and how long you've been on? How long?
I've filled the term, a partial term, and then came on, and so this is my third forum that I've been doing, which is always fun. But I've been a resident of Duxbury for almost 39 years now, so I've used the library a lot. My kids grew up here, my two daughters grew up here, they learned to read in the library. The library has always meant so much to us as a family. I think COVID really brought home to me also how important a resource the library is to the town and what it means to people. So, it's a big piece of why I'm running is really to continue the work of the library and what it's doing. I have my background's in disability services for the most part. I've worked in the field of human resources and disabilities for about 45 years in a lot of different capacities, and the inclusiveness and the welcoming of the library has been really important to me. And I think it really is something that I want to be able to continue to work with and build on. And that's a lot of the reason why I want to stay. And also, I really appreciate the other trustees. They're so dedicated to the library and in really making sure this is really meeting the town's needs and doing what the best that we can for the town and for the patrons and just doing the right thing. That it's a pleasure to work with such a really good, dedicated group.
Thank you.
I grew up in Duxbury. My mom's a library trustee and also on the Inc. board, and this building was part of her work with getting the library moved into this building. So it was always a very important part of my growing up. My grandfather was a library trustee in Indiana also. And my background is a federal attorney. I left the workforce right when COVID started and decided to stay home with my family and raise my two younger children. I agree with you. I think we have like a really wonderful group of people, and it's been a wonderful experience being on I learned from everybody every day that we have a meeting, or just in emails of different, like on the budget committee. I mean, Martha knows every. I'm always like, well, I don't know. I'll just ask Martha.
I know, she's amazing. I know. Yeah.
And I think that particularly in a time where adults and kids, everybody of all ages is exposed to social media and misinformation, to have a place where there are licensed professionals who are in charge of curating the information that people are exposed to and having a neutral place of learning without any kind of outside influence is crucial to everybody's well-being and development.
Thank you. Thanks, both of you. So one of the responsibilities for the Board of Trustees of the library is the oversight of the library's budget. And this is sort of important this year. We're going for another override, and the town meeting last Saturday, the town voted to approve both an override budget as well as a feasibility for the school, but that's not terribly relevant here. So given that, and that we're going to the ballot to vote on the budget, what are your thoughts on balancing money needs for library needs versus what we've heard in the select board anyhow, is that people are interested in safety in schools. How do you put your thoughts about the overseeing the library budget in that?
Well, I'm on the budget subcommittee with Lester and Martha, so we think about it a lot. And for me, I don't see it as that's for you, this is for me. I think that there is such a collaboration between the library and other areas. I mean, you know, just kids coming over here after the schools have shut down to do their homework, or people of older age who come, and it's a collaboration with the Council on Aging. I think that it's not taking away from another department for us to have and we also, our budget is, as we do the absolute best that we can. There is nothing excessive in it. We have other streams of revenue that we utilize, and so I don't, and it's also not that big relative to the overall town budget. I don't see it as a competition. I see it as a collaboration, and for everybody to be functioning, everybody has to have something.
Yeah, and I think we've been good stewards of the money that we are able to use. You know, I think the library over the past years has done a really good job of cutting back wherever we could, while still trying to respond to patrons' needs and being a good, open, functioning library. And I think, like Lucy said, I think we're kind of down to that bare bones now, and we're not asking for much either. It's a very small ask to just keep Sundays open, you know, as much as we can. People have told us that they've missed that. So, you know, overall, I think we've been really tried to be responsive to the town, and the town has shown in many ways that they really, like, I don't think we're like just an extra service. I think we're a really vital service to the community and to the town. And I think when you look at places like Livable Duxbury and some of the other groups that have been getting together to really try to focus in on what people are asking for and what they need, a lot of what they ask for, they find here. We have free programs, we have places where community can get together. You know, loneliness and social connections have been such a big part of what people have said they are struggling with and that they need. So we're not just extra. I think we're really a critical service to the town. And I think, you know, overall, if you look overall for every dollar you spend on a library, I think it says you save like $6. So a dollar spent in the library is worth $6 worth of resources that don't have to be spent elsewhere. You know, we have books, magazines, library passes, programs,
study rooms,
computers, so many resources that are here that really help pay for itself, you know, in so many ways. So yeah, I think we're an important service.
Yeah, I just got a receipt. I don't usually get them. And I noticed for the first time, I think it was actually just this afternoon,
Oh, yeah.
how much money I saved
What
by
you saved?
taking books out.
It's
I was just like,
it's an amount of money, and we had like 140,000 people come to visit the library last year. That's not a small, you know, a number at
So
all.
In the override budget, what would the library get?
just reinstituting the Sunday hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I think which we lost last year.
Okay. So not a big ask.
No,
It's $13,000, a little over $15,000.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
and are you both supporting this override budget or?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Enthusiastically.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
One of the sort of sticky issues, and I don't want to get too far into politics, but is the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Mhm.
And when I first came on the select board 5 years ago, I think it was like 2 weeks later that we had that pledge. There had been some issues in Duxbury. I think it's-
Yeah.
There had
Yeah.
been some issues in Duxbury's, and we came with this pledge to support diversity, equity, and inclusion in the town. And we have actually re-pledged that every year
Which is great.
since that
Yeah,
time.
that's great.
So I know that the library has taken a very active role
Mhm.
in the diversity, equity, and inclusion over the years. And we all know that in the last year, that has been something that in our federal government has made an effort to squash some of that DEI stuff. In your role as trustees, what do you see as your role in the DEI concepts? Where does that come into what you should be doing as a library trustee? And what sorts of changes to anything going on here, programs or services, materials, should the library be focusing on?
I think that's one of our critical roles, is to be a welcoming and inclusive place for anybody who wants to come. And we're one of the few places in town where people of all ages in town come, from when, from little toddlers who are coming to the nursing and, little mommy and me stuff that are going on, all the way up to folks like me, retired, and coming into some of the other different programs and all the school kids and stuff and family stuff going on in between. So we're open to such a vast part of the town and the age ranges that I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure we're really inclusive of everyone who wants to come. We're here so that we can provide people with good information, credible information. I mean, like Lucy was saying, there's so much misinformation, especially out there, that it's really hard to navigate. Here's a place you can come and get access to credible information, find people who will help you find information about things, and we should be open to all different opinions and all different, ways of thinking, unless it's hate-filled or hurtful to people. We should be able and willing to listen to other people's stories. I think one of the ways that the library has done that is when we had the human library, where we had that twice now, I think, where people from different walks of life come and they just sit, and you can come in and sit and have a conversation with somebody who you never would have had a conversation with before. And that's the way we really create community and be able to have more tolerance and more understanding of each other, is when we hear each other's stories. And I think we really work hard to really provide a venue and places where people can talk to each other.
And I would say also, you're using your word from before, the steward is such a perfect word to describe the trustee's role of running the library. We don't make the programming decisions. That is up to people who are librarians and library director who have access to so much information and education that helps inform their decision making. And then the other side of the coin that I think sometimes gets lost in the DEI conversation is DEI doesn't mean, oh, you have to have all the same thoughts as me. I mean, the library is, even if you're reading something hate-filled, the library has an obligation to allow people to pursue their thoughts. Actions is something else, but that's really what, to me, is sort of the core tenet of the library is you can learn whatever you want if you can get your hands on it, as long as it's not like some outdated text, we don't have any space for it. But that the DEI doesn't mean anything necessarily. There's no what's the word? I don't know, sort of buckets. It means everything. And I think our role is to maintain inclusivity, acceptance, and neutrality.
And a safe place
And,
to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just a little bit of follow-up. So then on programs that deal with, religion, race, culture, gender, LGBT stuff. Those are things that we're thinking about, I'm thinking about now with, DEI stuff that have been, made more difficult, recently. Is there a role in the library then for programming, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done that.
Mhm.
I think we've had, programs that have responded to that. There's, I can speak from the disability piece of things, where we've run programs. We have a whole friendship group that meets here on Tuesdays, of folks of varying disabilities and abilities who come, and we just play cards, do puzzles, have a social time together. There's adult puzzle group, there's the neurodivergent craft group that started. And I think that we've done a number of different programs where we've really been encouraging to have different viewpoints come and express their opinions, and that people can learn about different things.
And we also, we have, one of our responsibilities of the trustee is to stay informed of what the community wants. And that's also the communicating that with the library director and everybody, but, maintaining openness and listening to what the community is asking for, I think is, if we continue to do the programs that people want.
And I think that's why it's been important for us. I mean, you'll see library representatives at a lot of different community groups that meet, like Livable Duxbury, like Duxbury for All, like, a number of different groups in town that are really looking to try to key in on what the town is looking for. And there's usually somebody from the library there, with an ear. We also have our strategic plan that we've been working on that came directly from what we were hearing from the citizens in town. And that's been that's been great. It's been really an ongoing project that's been working on for years, and we keep honing it and changing it and keeping it open for people's input.
Yeah, great, all right. Well, you talked a lot about this, but, you talked about being free and equitable in programming and stuff, and one of the things, Casey, that you mentioned, and actually you both mentioned, is these things that are sort of hate-filled. And so although the library can be a credible access to news and data and that sort of thing, there can also be things that are hate-filled, not as kind as you would want. Is there a place for those as well? In the terms of, sort of freedom of speech sort of thing, and freedom of.
I think so.
I
I
do
think
too.
it's, like I said, you can't police thoughts. People have thoughts, and also sometimes the very thing you're trying to do, which is prevent action, is not helped by limiting people's access to information. The more information people have, the more they can start to, enrich their critical thinking or think something all the way through. And you can't do that with limited resources. You have to have access to sometimes unpleasant things. And I think one thing that came up when I was running 3 years ago was literature that maybe would be inappropriate for a child, and the idea of pulling books that were offensive to people. And I have always said that I don't agree with that, and that's where parenting comes in. Again, the library is providing the information, and then a family makes a decision within their family what they, how their child has access to information. But I think, it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. It should all be available.
Yeah, and it's important for us to hear everything. Yeah, that's I totally agree with what you said, Lucy.
Okay, great. And this is an interesting one because this I think about it sometimes about being select board member is when you're making decisions, making policy decisions. The idea of making decisions based upon your own personal values and whatnot versus what the community wants. And how do you make those decisions sort of number one? And number two, how do you find out what the community wants?
Well, I think, like I was saying before, I think by listening to what some of the other groups are saying, we do have a number of different groups that have pulled together in town that are really trying to get at some of those things. We do have had focus groups that we've run, and where we really keyed in on certain parts of the town and the community to really make sure we're listening to a variety of different voices. And that's really what drove the strategic plan, is the voices that we heard, and I think that's a lot of the reason why we decided to review it more often and change it more often. It's a plan. And it's something that changes and adjusts as we hear and listen from the community more about what they want and what they're looking for. Constantly looking, like every meeting, the directors come with information about how many things were taken out, who's using Hoopla, how many people are using Libby, and it's really interesting to see the percentages and the number of usage that are going on, how many people attended the different programs. So we're always looking at that to see, did that work? Well, if it didn't work, what should we do it a different day? Should we do it a different time? Do we not do it at all? We're always looking to see how we adjust things based on how people are using them as well. I mean, that's something that we do look at a lot. I mean, sometimes we're surprised, with the numbers of people that come in, and other times we're like, why didn't anybody come? This was awesome.
Yeah.
So, we're constantly trying to look at those things to see what works and what doesn't. And, and the Friends of the Library have been great too. There's a whole other group of volunteers who are fabulous. They're really terrific. And they bring in a different voice and a different perspective. And I think they've really helped enrich so much of what we're able to offer here, for sure. And they're still going strong. They're doing great. And I mean, the Battle of the Book Club was sold out in like that. It was
Yeah.
like, sold out within minutes almost. It was like a couple of days and then you couldn't get in anymore. So
Yeah.
so we listen. We're really trying to listen and make changes based on what we're hearing from folks.
Yeah, I was on the Friends of the Library when my kids were little, which is a long time ago.
Yeah, they're doing such, I mean, they're running study groups for kids. They're doing kids crafternoons where they had like 40 kids show up. It's great, they're really doing, I mean, they're used book club, I mean, not used book club, they use book sale
Yep.
that they do in May. I think it's May 16th. Is, people have already been calling them.
Public service,
Yeah, I know. It's like, when is it? I mean, this room gets filled with books and people are waiting in line to come in and buy the used books, and they're pretty good. So yeah, they're doing great. They're really an active, terrific group that has really helped enrich the library a lot.
And I think to answer the other part of your question, I agree with everything Casey said, was the trustees imposing their own policy views. Is no, except, within reason. I think I heard people like this, but for the most part, we're not setting,
No.
we're guiding the budget, we're guiding policies, we're not making the day-to-day decisions. If something very controversial or difficult for our library director and she needed our input, there's certain times that would happen. But for the most part, any policy making is not really our decisions. And
it's interesting because I think each trustee member that we have comes with their own experience and background and perspective. So, we all bring a different piece to the table.
Sure. Yeah. In the last 3 years, now Lucy, how long have you been on?
3 years.
3, and you're.
Yeah, I'm less than. I don't know.
2.5.
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It blends in.
Your last period of time, your
Yeah.
last term.
Lucy and I ran against each other.
Yes.
The first time. She won.
I had a lot of
lost.
fun.
But I was very
Lot of
glad she
fun.
won because she's awesome. But then I tried again the next time and got through.
I do remember that. So what were some of the most interesting or satisfying or difficult things that have happened?
Oh,
One of my favorite, can I tell a funny
yeah,
story?
yes.
Is we have one of the policies we have to vote on is service animals.
Oh,
that are
yeah, that's
allowed.
very good.
And
Yeah. Mhm.
you, for whatever reason, you can have service dogs and miniature horses. And so we were approving the policy and we all voted aye, as you do, and I leaned over to Casey and I was like, that was really a missed opportunity for a nay. And so we.
And then we were done. Then we were done.
So I could do nay.
And we were totally done. That was it.
So it's actually a lot of fun.
It is.
Everybody's so
It is.
bright and
Yeah.
dynamic that the
Mhm.
meetings are actually enjoyable.
Yeah, they are.
Have
Yeah,
you had any small horses?
I
No.
haven't seen it,
no,
but they're available.
I know,
They're allowed in.
I
Now
know.
I want to see one come to the library.
As long as they clean up after themselves.
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think for me has been, some of the programs that we've been able to do, is, for my friends with, disabilities. That's just been, it's been great to see this friendship group grow from a small group to like, I think we had 40 people here last Tuesday, which was amazing. We had to scramble for more chairs and tables and things, so. It's those kinds of things they're just fun and they're just very uplifting in these times when we really need uplifting things in our lives. So, yeah.
Great, all right. So going into the next 3 years. What are you looking forward to, or what do you see as the major issues or hurdles, or, what's the library facing?
Well, one of the things I've been doing is with the senior center, I've been going over to the high school. They do a senior to senior where we have a group of volunteer seniors who meet with seniors in the high school for one of their English classes. So we read the same book, and it's like a book club discussion that we do with the students. And what I was kind of surprised at is that kids don't read as much as say I did when I was a kid, or, it's like there's they love to read, they love to read, they love to read up to a certain age, and then it's like, I don't know, their world probably explodes with so many other input and so many other different things that are coming into their lives that reading takes a little bit of a back burner unless it's something they have to read. So I think part of a challenge for us, I think, is how to keep kids engaged in reading in the library as they get a little older and as they get out of the exciting elementary school, book reading.
And I don't want to, the reading has become a job for
Yeah.
these kids in
Yeah.
these schools, and it's frustrating. I know that I'm not an educator, I'm not an education specialist, but that is my experience, is that it's a grind.
Mm.
And it used to be, growing up, it was just read whenever you want, whatever you want. And that's really excellent point. I had making reading fun, but not cataloging how many pages you
Right,
read, not
right.
how long you read. Just,
Yeah.
did you want to pop in and you're an 11-year-old, but you actually feel like reading a little kid's book again? Like,
Right.
go ahead, like that. I think
Mhm.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, so there was one student where I was like, well, so what did you think of the book? How did you like the book? And he honestly looked at me and said, well, it was a lot of words.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that is what books are.
There you go. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we got some work to do here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any thorny issues coming up for the library, or?
I mean, always the budget.
Always the budget,
Always
yeah,
the budget.
yeah.
And I'll be honest that I actually really stay away from AI. It like spooks me. So I am not an expert in that field
Mhm.
either, but I know that is coming down the pike
Probably,
as something that we
probably will
have to,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's really true. But the budget is always a challenge, for
The
sure,
budget is always the challenge.
as you wouldn't know anything about.
So what did I not ask you? We didn't cover that you'd like to?
Um, just that the library is awesome and that we just have so much that we have to offer here and that we do offer. And coming to more of the programs, you'll be surprised at how much more you find here when you come.
And just be surprised at what you find in the library.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
somebody, and don't be afraid to ask one of the reference librarians for help. Everybody's here to help. So it's
Yeah.
it is a truly welcoming place.
I can attest to the fact that if you need to make a koala bear cake for your niece, you will find the pans here to make the koala bear cake.
Yeah,
So
I
you
could
can
tour.
find everything,
I took
yeah.
a tour of the library last summer, Denise. Gave my granddaughter, who wants to be a librarian.
Oh,
At the age
that's
of 10,
awesome.
she does, I don't know what she's gonna want, gave us a tour and I was amazed at all the.
Right?
They had moved upstairs probably a long time ago, but I didn't realize it. And all the things, and
Yeah,
the
all the
other thing
things.
is that the Duxbury room or whatever it's called is open, you can just walk in.
It's so pretty, I think.
It's awesome,
It's very nice, yeah,
it's
yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
Now, have I been back? No, but I will, but I will, when I have.
Good.
To you.
Good,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
So, you're running again, you're both excited.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Cindy.
much.
Thank you, appreciate it.